I got a smart guy like this, like, hey, why don't we call those things dogfights? Like, my team made this thing possible. We had some good knowledge, we had some good ideas, but without those guys and what we do, none of this would be possible. I'd like to think we've been pretty consistent with our actions over the years, enough that people go, hey, you know, I actually kind of trust those guys. So, yeah, bringing something that was truly different. And there's a million different sales things you can go to out there. I don't think anything like this. In the back, Mark.
Yeah, real quickly, before I had the privilege of having one of these top rep trainings, I did get that let's pray about it first objection. So we like everything you said, we like the price, everything's good, but Mark, we don't do anything without praying on it first. And I looked straight at him, I said, my mama was a Sunday school teacher for 35 years. If you don't want to pray about it, I'm your guy. And I did. I led them in a prayer, said a few words. Before I got up from the table, they were ready to transfer money and write me a check. So I think your approach was probably better to do, but in this case, it did work out for me, and they did sign because we prayed right then and there at the table. We held hands, and I said a prayer to the Lord, and man, I walked out with a check.
No, amen. Always know the temperature of the room. That may work with one and not with another, right? Everybody's got a different faith walk too, so, you know.
There's a lot of different things you can do in a house. You just got, like, he just said, take the temperature of the room, understand who you're talking to. If I'm talking to somebody that is very fun, if the husband or wife, we have had a blast, when I'm closing, I'm going to look straight at him and say, hey, I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put the price down, I'm going to fold it under, and I'm going to ask each of you what you think the price is. The one that's closest to the price gets to sign the check tonight. Is that right?
That's a new one. Yes, Will.
So you all had mentioned earlier about different people in this room that maybe struggle with anxiety. And I know a lot of people get up in the morning and maybe it's 6, 7 o'clock in the morning and you get out of bed and you're in that limbo where it's like, okay, we're back at it again. But Jim, you were talking about when Hurricane Ike came through and you sold all of those jobs. But when you guys were in the hustle, just out there in the field, grinding, when you were thinking about your why you're in the field, why you get up early in the morning, what was your motivating factors for the long term of why am I working so hard? Was it the natural of seeing something like this as a vision, or I want that new truck, I want that new house? Like, what was the motivating factor behind the why that made you the top performers?
That's an interesting question because I believe strongly that our whys change over time. When I was younger, my why was proving everybody wrong. My entire family thought I was going to end up in jail by the time I was 20. So I had to prove them wrong. That was my why. Was, hey, I'm going to be more than what they think I'm going to be. As time has gone on, those whys change. When I first got into roofing, the why was, where is he? Oh, he's out there doing scoring. That little dude out there, Brady. I'm busting my ass every day. Change our lives. Had an opportunity. I like looked at him. Hey, I have all these skills and this great opportunity right here. I can't blow it because of him. That was the only reason. He needed to eat. I wanted to buy him a superhero figure. He had 1 million of them, every single Marvel comic, and he still loves Marvel comics to this day. But that was my why at that time. My why has continued to change over all these years. And my why, honestly, right now, my why is about Christ. That's why I do what I do. I hope that you see through my actions. It's not a bad decision. If you ever want to talk to me about it, feel free. If you're not ready to talk to me about it, I'll be ready when you are. But that's why.
My why is, and this may sound corny, but my why is you. And that's every time we get the messages, every time we get someone that has changed their life, that fuels us. So that truly is my why. I mean, I have my family and my kids, and they love to watch me speak and change lives, but changing lives is really where my why is. That's where it started with me, when I decided I wanted to be a sales leader. And then, going into Able Roofing, I mean, completely changing lives. I mean, we were talking about, people like Stephen that was in a roadhouse, making what, 30, 40, 50,000, and
No, we
he's
just saw it.
tripled that.
No, we
Changing
just-
lives, that's what we're talking
Send it
about. A
to
guy out of, Bulletproof, that he was washing my
Oh, Google
truck,
Drive, Google Drive.
thought that $30,000 he
Google
was
Drive.
rich.
Yeah. Google Drive.
And within
Upload Google Drive, then I
about
put your
6
email.
to 12 months, he was making
When?
6 figures. Now he has this
Next
huge
year.
house on the side
Next
of a
up.
mountain in Georgia.
Next year.
Never thought he could amount to much, and now look at where he's. That's my wealth.
When you're 23.
So we got time for 2 more questions, and then you guys want to find out who won this whole shindig?
Yeah.
All right.
A little more specific, at what age did y'all know that, hey, this is for me? Like, what, you said it would click, you'd be laughing in your car one day for no reason, knowing that it clicked. Like, what age was that for y'all?
For Jim, it was about 60, I think, is when that happened.
Hasn't quite happened yet. I think I'd like to understand that question a little bit better. Understood when, like, sales was the thing for me, or leadership, or owning a business, like, oh, when we, okay, gotcha. So, when did that happen age-wise? To go back in time a little bit here. I was,
It's like the Goonies.
yeah, it was a long time ago. I was 19. I told you guys the story, when the click was. I walked those people around that health club and I was like, wow, that was easy. And then I got all the sales training technique stuff, and I went, that's really kind of similar to what I had done, but now has some skill to go with it. And there was a moment. I mean, we had opened a new health club in a new part of the Houston area, and I got on a roll, and it was a roll. So we did this thing, it's called pre-sell. So before the club would actually open, you did a bunch of advertising, you could join for half price, get in on these days, this is when, and we were actually like set up on concrete floors, inside of where the club was, we had a couple pieces of equipment and stuff like that, folding tables, contracts and price sheets, that was it. And it was like, one day rush sale, but then we did it like 17 times. I nailed 103 in a row in one day. And I was like, yeah, I got this. And as soon as I said that, I got stumped in the dirt. The very next day, I could not sign anybody. And that day, I was like, yeah, man, I clicked. I knew exactly what I needed to do each and every time somebody got in front of me. They couldn't tell me anything that I could not figure out an answer for. And I got to sell other stuff and became, I had to learn that. How about you?
So I got laid off right after 9/11. Jumped right into sales. Had to do something, and at that point, I was selling insurance. I hated it. You're selling policies to sick people. Hated it. So got into mortgage. Anybody who's been in mortgage? I mean, it's amazing, And so I was the top rep in the nation for the franchise that I was in. And realized at that moment that's what I wanted to do. And when I got into home improvement, that's when I got the phone call to come back to Bombardier or Learjet. And I was like, hey, have you guys checked out this whole home improvement thing?
That's pretty awesome.
Awesome. We got one more here.
All right, so this question, hopefully for some of you guys, might help you out. But I made a mistake early on in my career where whenever I would sell a roof, I get real excited and I tell my wife. And now my job is a roofing consultant and an Amazon package delivery guy into my house. How do I have that conversation with my wife? Because every time I sell a roof, she asks how my day went, how much was the roof, and I swear to God, the next day there's a package at my front door. And it's usually stuff for my son, and I'm a little bit more frugal, and we choose. It's a lot more wants than needs. So like that's kind of where I have a separation with my wife. Have you guys ever come across something like that, or maybe advice on a conversation I might have to have.
The more you sell, the more your wife spends, I don't know.
That's where I'm coming from. So if you guys are starting,
I'm probably the worst person in the room to give advice on, because that happens in reverse in our family. My wife is the frugal one, and I'm the one that's like, hey, there's the cool thing, let me go get that. But she has had that conversation with me, and she will bring it back around to what it is that we're after. She'll center us on that, like, we just, this is funny you asked this, we literally just had a spending freeze in my house. And the reason for that is we have decided that we're gonna be moving to Colorado. She says, don't buy any more crap and put it in my house. No more, I'm not moving anything. This is the last time we're moving, we're not doing it ever again. We keep saying that. But, yeah,